Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Friday's going well. I'm going to finally get a haircut today. Because I desperately need a haircut. Again, I desperately need a haircut. Guys, make sure you go and buy. Before we get started, listen, thank you for joining. Once again, thank you for joining before we get started. We already are kind of started. Hit that like button. Again, please hit the like button as you come to the chat room. Why am I freezing? What's going on here? I don't know. I just froze for some reason. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't want to freeze up. So hit the like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. All that good stuff, guys. Let me stop this real quick. If you have not bought the documentary, In Search of Uhuru, I need you to right now. Listen, we have a goal. We need to sell 1,000 copies of the documentary this month. Well, coming up in November. We need to sell 1,000 copies. All right, so I need everybody to buy the documentary. If you have not bought the documentary yet, I need you to go to searchforuhuru.com. Again, go to searchforuhuru.com and make sure you buy the documentary. Make sure you buy the documentary. Again, go to searchforuhuru.com and make sure you buy this awesome documentary. Like I said, the reviews have been rolling in and the reviews have been great. Guys, do me a favor. King Joseph, how many likes do we have so far? How many likes do we have? Because I can't see on my StreamYard screen the number of likes. I can't see it on my end. How many likes do we have? So, guys, make sure you go to searchforuhuru.com and cop 14. Come on, y'all. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, family. Hit the like button. In fact, let's take a commercial break. Let's take a commercial break. Hold on. Go take a commercial break.
Hello, I'm Dynast the Mirror.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast the Mirror, I'm out.
All right, guys, make sure you buy the documentary and hit the like button. Hit the like button. We need some more likes up in here. All right, so search for Uhuru.com, buy the documentary. Listen, we're going to roll. If you're interested in going to the Voodoo Festival in January, again, if you're interested in going to the Voodoo Festival in January, go to Donfo, visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit Donfo, DANFO. Africa. Again, please visit Donfo, DANFO. Africa. Okay, we're gonna roll the Voodoo Festival. Also, Senegal in May. Sorry about that. So Voodoo Festival in January and Senegal in May. All right. So if you're interested in joining us, go to donfo.africa, click travel, then click Benin, and click on Senegal. Would love to have you guys join us on one of these awesome tours. We're going to have an excellent time in Benin and in Senegal. And then you can see the rest of the locations where we will be visiting on the site. Again, you can see the rest of the locations where we will be visiting on the site. So again, visit donfo.africa and join us in Benin and join us in Senegal as well. For Senegal, there's an early bird special. $250 locks you in as far as your deposit. Again, there's an early bird special. $250 locks you in for the deposit. That is it. That is all. Let's jump into today's topic. Elon Musk buys. Guys, give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Elon Musk buys Twitter. And your boy Kanye, our boy Kanye, gets reinstated as well. That's big news. I don't know if you guys have Twitter accounts. Also, listen, I am on Abibitumi, which is Black-owned social media site. which is a black-owned social media site owned by brother Obadele Cabon. Again, I am on Abba Batumi as well. Yeah, only liberals are mad at Elon and Kanye. Exactly. They just throw fits. That's all they do. They throw fits. That's all they do. They just cry and throw fits. At first they were threatening, oh, if whatchamacallit, if what were they saying? If Elon buys Twitter, we're gonna leave Twitter. Now they're tripling down, talking about we ain't going nowhere. With that break. You can't make these sociopaths happy. I mean, you're just dealing with sociopaths. You can't make them happy. Like I said, originally it was if Elon buys Twitter, we're leaving, we're gonna go, we're gonna leave. Then now it's we ain't going nowhere. Elon must fire only Indian workers. Well, the Indians, they pretty much are in the executive suite. Not black folks. So who is he supposed to fire? The CEO is Indian. Who is he supposed to fire? Like I said, the Indians are in the executive suite. And they sure wasn't hiring our black asses. Excuse my language. Again, excuse my language. They sure wasn't hiring our black asses. So what you expect? Usually when there's a buyout or when a company's acquired, listen, heads roll. That's just normal. That's just normal. So that's just course of business. Well, would you have been happy if they fired our black asses instead? We weren't hired. Anyways, more on Elon Musk.
We begin with that breaking news. Elon Musk now in control of Twitter. The $44 billion deal makes Twitter a private company with no shareholders to answer to. And Musk has reportedly already started firing top executives. Our Mola Lenghi is at Twitter headquarters in San Francisco with the latest.
Elon Musk celebrating his new ownership of Twitter with a tweet saying the bird is freed. A source telling ABC News that Musk's first move, immediately firing several top executives, including the CEO, Parag Agrawal, and CFO, Ned Segal, after closing a deal originally valued at $44 billion.
I think it was very clear that Elon wanted to shake up the leadership of Twitter. He singled out some of the executives that he fired on Thursday in the past and said, that he had problems with specific decisions that they had made.
Decisions like banning former President Trump from the platform after allegedly inciting violence during the January 6th insurrection. In a statement tweeted to advertisers, Musk says the reason he acquired Twitter is to have a common digital town square, but saying Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences.
Twitter has struggled for years to actually get control of some of the worst things that happen on its platform. And so the big question is, how can you expect, as Elon Musk, to cut back on moderation or cut down staff and not have this problem just get worse?
After initially trying to buy Twitter in April, he said he plans to change the platform's moderation policies, eliminate spam, and be more
pretty much on Twitter, if you're a conservative and you said something, you were banned. Liberals had a free ride. That's pretty much what it was. So now with Elon buying Twitter, acquiring Twitter, it's going to be balanced, which is great for everybody, which is good news for everybody.
Transparent on how algorithms promote content. Musk hinting of a new era of Twitter earlier this week, tweeting a video of himself walking into the building with a sink with the caption, "Entering Twitter HQ." Let that sink in.
Musk already trying to calm fears about some of his potential plans, shooting down reports that he'll lay off up to 75% of Twitter's staff. Diane?
All right, Mola Langi at Twitter headquarters, thank you. And let's bring in ABC News business reporter Alexis Christoforous for more on this. Alexis, even before stepping through the doors of headquarters, Elon Musk had already started talking about some of the changes he wanted to make to the platform. So what can Twitter users expect for their day-to-day?
Still a big question mark. The one thing he did do first off is change his Twitter bio to Chief Twit. Whatever that means. So like it or hate it, Twitter is one of the most prominent, influential social media sites out there. It is now under the control of the world's richest person. And what that means for the future of online discourse is yet to be seen. He's described himself as a free speech absolutist. We know that he's pledged to limit content moderation in emphasis of free speech. What that's going to look like, we just don't know yet. We do know he wants to customize Twitter in some way to give users their own sort of curated experience, the way you might go online and choose a video game or a movie to watch. Again, there are no details yet.
All right, interesting. There's also been speculation about him allowing banned users back onto the platform, chief among them perhaps former President Trump. What do we know on that front?
Yep, so he actually has called those permanent bans on some forms of speech foolish. He said it was foolish to the extreme when Twitter banned former President Trump after the January 6th insurrection. He has said publicly he would invite the former president back on the site, and at the time, Trump had said he had no desire to do that. We'll see if that changes over time.
And the New York Stock Exchange has confirmed that shares are suspended from trading this already. This company is going private. What does that mean for people who own stock in Twitter?
Great question. And really, it's a payday for those folks. If you own shares of Twitter, you can expect to get a check. The company has been sold now for $54.20 a share. So just to make things simple, if you own 10 shares of Twitter, you're going to be getting a check for $542. You will have to pay capital gains tax on that, though, as you would for any stock sale. But this doesn't mean that Twitter remains a private company forevermore. Some analysts are saying that Musk will go in there, retool it. I mean, it has posted a loss for 8 of the past 10 fiscal years. He might actually introduce new revenue models. He might make parts of Twitter go paid subscription for things like the government or commercial sites. So we'll see how he finds other ways to make money.
So could they re-IPO? Could they go public again?
Most absolutely. And most analysts believe that's the long-term goal here for him, is to retool the company, make it strong, make it profitable, and then make it public again.
And while I have you, I want to ask about mortgage rates, because they are now topping 7% for the first time in 20 years. So what does that mean for home buyers? What does it mean for sellers? And what does it mean for the economy in general?
Well, unfortunately, the buying a home is now even further out of reach for lots of folks, especially first-time home.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse as far as the buying a home. You know, people are praying that something like 2008 will happen. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. 2008 is not going to happen. All right, in other news, what is going on in Nigeria? They got boots on the ground. The UN has boots on the ground. I got a text from somebody this morning in Abuja. You know what I'm saying? He's staying his ass in the house. They're speculating that a terrorist attack in Abuja might take place, or there was a planned terrorist attack. So, you know, they're I guess the UN is has soldiers, in the US they have soldiers on the ground right now. And it's unfortunate, especially because Abuja is the capital city. Like, how do you let the capital city how do you allow the capital city to be infiltrated by terrorists? U.S. Embassy warns of terror attack in Abuja. That's just unfortunate, you know. And it's just the timing is weird because the election is early next year. Again, the election is early next year. So that's just that's interesting. That's just unfortunate. But let's play this video.
Following the security alert released by the United States and Following the security alert released by the United States and Britain of a terror attack in Abuja, the United States Department of State has granted authorized departure status to American citizens and embassy staff in the FCT. In a notice, the U.S. Department of State pledged to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens in the country, also advising them to keep a low profile and take advantage of commercial transportation options if they wish to depart Nigeria. The US and Britain had earlier warned of possible terror attacks in Abuja, especially at government buildings, places of worship, and other centers where large crowds gather. The Department of State Services also urged residents of the Abuja and the Nigerians in general to remain calm, saying the security agencies are right on top of the situation. Now, have you ever wondered why a man will beat his 2-month-old baby? That happened in Imo State and led to the amputation.
So there we go. And someone, Larry's asking who's supplying the weapons. You could blame Obama. Like I said, ever since Obama backed mercenaries, took out Gaddafi, that whole Sahel area, which is now spilling into Nigeria as well, has been destabilized. You could thank Obama. Again, you could thank the first black president, Obama. That's when all this stuff started. All of a sudden, all these terrorist groups started coming out of nowhere. I mean, they were somewhat there, but they really started coming out of nowhere once Obama, did what he did in Libya. All right, guys, links in the chat room. Link's going to be in the chat room. Hit the like button and click on the link if you want to call in. I mean, it's part of Obama's legacy. Again, it's part of Obama's legacy. So if you guys want to call in, please click on the link. Again, if you guys want to call in, please click on the link. And we're going to take Obama screwed over Africa when he destroyed Libya. That's what I'm saying. This is part of Obama's legacy. This is part of Obama's legacy. Oh, Dinas, you're a fast becoming conspiring Republican. Obama can be faulted for Libya, not Nigeria. Please stop. No, you do not understand how this works. When Obama destabilized Libya, everything spread. All right. That when Obama destabilized Libya, it destabilized the whole Sahel region. All right. That's why you have the issues with Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Chad, and now it's just spilling into Nigeria. It's unstable. Because Obama's the one that did it, Dennis Cooper. Obama's the one that did it. Obama's the one that did it. What do you mean blame? Why am I blaming Obama? Obama's the one that did it. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, how's it going, Dinas?
Doing well.
All right, so what's the topic right now? Because are we talking about Kanye or are we talking about the terrorist threat? And
the topic is both.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start with the terrorist thing in Abuja, but so you were talking about how it could happen in the capital of Nigeria, but it seems like they're getting closer and closer to the capital. Like,
well, you had the prison break, and I mean they've had issues before, but I never heard of the U.S. warning, telling people to evacuate. I never heard of the U.S. It might have happened, and I didn't hear about it. Telling its employees at their embassies and U.S. citizens to evacuate, get out of Abuja. Like I've never heard it at that level.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, when they did the jailbreak thing, like, I believe it was like something like 900 like inmates escaped. So they're pretty strategic with what they're doing, and the fact that it's like not even just Boko Haram, but it's Boko Haram and ISWAP, so they're pretty much they work hand in hand at times, even though they almost have separate ambitions, but they still have the same ideology. So it's almost like northern Nigeria has already been overrun, and so they're moving down south at this point, and it might lead to something that's bigger and that could completely destroy Nigeria. You know, I've been
Expand,
talking about
expand, expand on that.
I've been talking about this for a while. Like I said, like there might not even be a Nigeria in 2024 or 2025, because look at what IPOB is doing with ESN. They're building militias all over southeastern Nigeria, right? They're getting ready for something, and
Well,
I'm from
they just released Nnamdi Kanu, but I think
no,
they
they
sent
didn't
him back
release
to.
him. They didn't release him. The
Yes, they did. They
judge
said that
the
no,
judge
he
dropped no the judge dropped the what do you call it, the charges against him, but he's still in prison.
no. I think they're gonna extradite him back to like Kenya or
no,
another or something.
nah, he's never leaving that place. He's never. I'm telling you, they finally got Nnamdi Kanu, and things in Nigeria. I mean, in southeastern Nigeria are starting to bubble up a lot more. So why would they let him go when he's pretty much like their negotiation piece
Oh man, you
to the
know what? You're
southeastern
right.
people?
You're right. It just came out today. It just came out today. Hold on, I didn't. It just
Exactly.
literally just came out today. A
Yeah,
court.
they're not gonna let him go because this is Nigeria. There was a Shia prominent Shia person in northern Nigeria called Zaki or something like that, and he was in prison for trumped up charges, and he stayed in prison for like 5 almost 10 years, and they barely had anything on him. So Namdi Kanu, he's the negotiation piece for Nigeria. If IPOB gets too big, and if they did their militias start asking for too much, uh uh Peter what's him Nandio Kanu, he's probably just gonna die in prison at this point, because southeastern Nigeria is getting to a point where it's getting to a point of no return, where they're gonna basically declare themselves as their own nation, and they're gonna have to fight the Nigerian army to pretty much defend the land that they're declaring as Biafra. Have you seen all the videos of ESN marching and
I've seen the videos of iPod, but not ESN.
yeah, see, you haven't seen the ESN videos? These are full on militias now, and the reason I know this is the reason I've been even keeping up a lot with this is because they formed an alliance with my with the people where I was born, in Cameroon, which is right across the border of southeastern Nigeria. So they formed an alliance with Amazonia, which is also a state that is declaring independence from Cameroon, right? So they formed this alliance with Amazonia, and Amazonia is already in a full-on war with Cameroon. So they have a lot of weapons, RPGs, um, AKs. They have IEDs that they use against the Cameroonian army, and they've been exchanging weapons with ESN and IPOB for the past 2 3 years. So they're getting ready to do something, and it's not a simple. It's not going to be a simple fight. It might be like a fight that crosses borders, because you're gonna have ESN, you're gonna have Amazonia that's fighting with Cameroon. You're gonna have who knows what's gonna happen with the Yoruba people and what's that? What's their nation called? Oduduwa. Who knows what's gonna happen with them? Yeah, I feel like what's the militia that the Yoruba people have now? I forgot what it's called.
I'm not sure. I know Sunday. What's Sunday's full name? He got locked up in Benin. I don't know
It's
if
the
he's freed
one.
or not.
Yeah, they have the red uniforms and stuff. That's their own unofficial militia by themselves. And when things happen, when if things pop off and there's a war, I feel like the militia that Yoruba people already have is in place for a reason. Yeah, I'm Otekun. Somebody said it themselves, but they formed that thing for a reason. They're getting ready for something as well, you know. So and then put that all together with then northern Nigeria, that's already pretty much like a terrorist zone at this point. So there might not be a Nigeria in 2024 or after this year, depending on how serious things get.
I want somebody. I want another. I want some Nigerians to call in. And I want to get their input on that because I mean elections are
Yeah.
coming up. What, January, February next year?
And the thing is, Igbo people don't. Let me not say Igbo people. The core IPOB people, they don't even want Peter Obi to win. They don't care about the Peter Obi election. They don't care about him being there. You know what they're getting ready for? They're getting ready for no election in Biafra land. And the thing is, this happened in Cameroon, where I'm from, like years ago, 6-7 years ago, when they started the war with Cameroon. They pretty much banned the Cameroonian government from the land that they declared as their own. So any election that was happening in that area was disrupted. People were, shot, gone down. The Cameroonian army was, shot when they came for ballots. So that's what IPOB and ESN is getting ready for now. They're getting ready to boycott the Nigerian election, no matter who's on the ballot. If that means Peter Obi doesn't win, that means Peter Obi doesn't win. They're not really. Peter Obi is a distraction right now for them, for what they're seeking.
Go ahead, Voltaire.
Yeah, I was looking through like the issue with Nigeria, and I don't necessarily think that Obama has much to do with Nigeria or some of the conflicts in Africa. Most of those conflicts are colonial conflicts, and they happened even before Obama. Yeah, no doubt many Africans believe, and some rightfully so, that Obama took part in the destruction of Libya. France and the UK first went in there. Obama was a bit hesitant, and then it is alleged that Hillary decided to kind of push Obama, and Obama made the plunge. Yes, but the issue with Nigeria goes back to many years, to the history of Nigeria from the very construction after colonialism. You have to understand that African nations are not really independent countries, but actually they are constructed nations still under colonial rule or maybe neo-colonialism. The Igbo people are very different people from the Yorubas, and talk about how different the Igbos and the people like the Ibiobio, the Ijaws, the Ejagan people are very different from people from Kaduna and the north. So you have these countries that were independent kingdoms that became so-called independent nations. You have all sorts of problems because you have a president that has been assigned by colonial rule to rule over people who have their allegiance to their kings. That's a very different construction, and that led to so many civil wars and military coups in Nigeria. You saw, Shehu Shagari, Iransi, even Buhari. Many people don't understand Buhari had been president in Nigeria in the 80s. but he was ousted by Babangida, and then Babangida survived a number of coups, and then he decided to transition to a civilian rule, which was actually something he probably didn't want to do. So, I mean, National Camp came in after the elections of Tofa and Moshood Abiola. Abiola allegedly won the election, but there was to be a redo of the elections, and then there was a temporary government under Shonekan. But many Nigerians believe that it was just a ploy for Babangida to have his man, Sani Abacha, to take over power, and we saw exactly what happened. So you go back to the independence, the Biafran War. I mean, Nigeria has been from one conflict to the other. It's not really been easy. So even with democratic rule, it is not an easy country to govern with so many tribes.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Voltaire. As far as what Alex was speaking on in regards to
Right.
Nigeria splitting within the next 2 years, what are your thoughts on that?
If Nigeria is going to split, I mean, it's speculative. I really don't know the construction and the politics in Nigeria. Many people believe it can happen, but again, there are just different metrics. If you split, what do you become? If you don't really have a system in place, they're still going to be fighting. It's just like with the problem with Cameroon. Many Cameroonians believe that if the southern Cameroon splits from East Cameroon, they just got everything going to be fine. But it's just more of speculation. If you don't have a construction, if you don't really have a way to push back on colonial rule, you're still going to be under colonial influence. Because the thing is, even if you change Paul Biya of Cameroon, who apparently and arguably hasn't really been an effective manager of the country, you put anyone there, given the colonial construction, you're still going to have the same result. We've seen it even in Cote d'Ivoire. They had a moment of democracy, but again, when Alassane Ouattara came in, he's been a tool of the French government. He came from the IMF. We keep having people coming from these institutions that actually have not been used by American politicians at all as political experience to become president or governor or even mayor in America. And Alassane Ouattara went in there. Nigeria, Ghana decided to form a currency alongside countries like Guinea and so many other countries who destroyed it. Ouattara with the complicity of the French government. And you might speculate the American government is right behind. So the thing is, Ouattara was there for 10 years. But why was he fighting Laurent Gbagbo? Because Gbagbo had been there for 10 years, was refusing to get out. But then he had to redo the constitution and argue that he is still qualified to be president. So how long is he going to be there? He might be there for 20, 30 years. It's a colonial construction. So even with Nigeria, Nigeria has been trying to stabilize the country. Many Nigerian presidents have been doing their best. Some even argue that even military rule was better than even the democratic rule. But again, if someone like Umaru Diko, who stole millions and millions of pounds from Nigeria, ran to London, and the British government gave him a cover. He was never sent back to Nigeria to be prosecuted, even though the Nigerian intelligence tried to airlift him from London. They almost succeeded back to Nigeria to be prosecuted. It never really worked. Where is the money? Go to Congo. It is alleged that Mobutu left about $9 billion. At one point, the Swiss bank said that there is a 30-year plan to return $9 billion to Congo. You think they're ever going to have it? But who's been the president of Credit Suisse for probably the last 6 years? I think he just got out. Tiam Tijan, Ivorian. Why would an African be the head of a bank that has been partly or in a big way alongside the IMF and the World Bank responsible for the underdevelopment of Africa? You have to ask these questions. Ouattara came from the IMF. It was vice president. Tijan came from the Credit Suisse. So we keep having Africans in some of these places, and we think we can have different results. And when they visit Africa, we send our Jangi groups, our dance groups, our cultural groups to go in there and hail them as if they really have experience. Many Africans with degrees want to work for the World Bank, the IMF. We take that to be qualifications to mean you're an expert. You're an expert, but it's all is a scam. So Nigeria is very complex. So Nigeria has the tools, it has the intelligence, it has the personnel to be a very great country. But with the metrics of the tribal differences, the regional differences, the construction of the kingdoms, and the very nature of Nigeria's independence, it is very difficult to govern the country.
Volton, are you
Yes, go
from
ahead.
Cameroon?
Huh?
Are you from Cameroon?
No, I'm from Congo.
Okay, you said a Cameroonian word. I thought you were from Cameroon.
No, it's just that I've been to many countries in Africa, and I mean I did a lot of African history. So sometimes if I speak as far as Namibia, I go to Tanzania, Tanganyika, Zanzibar. I speak about Mao Mao and all of that. People kind of get confused. So yeah.
Diners, you want to know
why?
Well,
let's pass it to Macmillan real quick. Macmillan Dragon, go ahead.
Hey everyone, how you guys doing?
Good. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Nigerian, though I live in the United States. I would admit though I was in Nigeria 2018, right? Not recently, 2008. My father was in the Biafran War. He fought in the war, and my family's Igbo, and I'm Igbo. I live in the United States. What the other brother was saying about the conflict in Nigeria, that's actually true. Nigeria, if you ask me personally, I don't think the country can work. I mean, that you can't. If you look at it from 360 degrees from every angle, at this rate, at this point, because it would take almost a miracle. You gotta understand, this is actually quite spiritual. I mean, they came in with the religion. You understand? You gotta trace it back all the way to Lugard, Captain Lugard, who used to be governor of Nigeria. Nigeria still answers to the British. You understand? And all this is about fighting about resources. Most of the oil resources are down south of Nigeria, and we are being controlled by the Northerners. My father was in that war. He almost lost his eyesight with a grenade. He used to tell me about it, And this was when Nigeria was coming into independence from the 50s to the 60s, And there was absolutely no way British was gonna let go of that country, especially with the resources it had. They had to put a puppet in there. Unfortunately, our puppet masters are the Northerners, and no one wants to admit that fact. Not to mention, we don't even practice our traditional religion anymore. Everyone is practicing in Nigeria some sort of religion, whether you're Christian or Muslim or whatever. Now, I will admit something. The Igbos, if you trace your history, they have their traditional beliefs, and they're also Jews. But most Igbos don't even know that. Igbos are lost descendants of the Jewish people. But now we practice Christianity. The whole country needs an implosion. I mean, this is realistically speaking, there's no way you can see this. First, you have to deal with the mentality, even if we split, right? But what does it mean to be an Igbo person? An Igbo person doesn't even know that. You think he's going to church every Sunday and praying to God, the Lord Jesus Christ, and all that. That's not what you do as an Igbo person. You have to know what an Igbo person does first if you're ready to split. If Nigeria splits, Yoruba person goes his own way, an Igbo person goes his own way, an Hausa person goes his own way. So what does it mean to be an Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo? We don't even know that. We don't. Here in the West, we talk about the Orishas. That's Yoruba. But does an Igbo people even know about the Olusis? We don't know that. We don't know anything about ourselves as West Africans. And then we come together under Captain Lugard, the British system, and we think, when we get our independence, we're going to have some kind of civilization, And you think England is going to let go of your resources? It happened in Congo, it happened in Nigeria, it happened in Ghana. Every African country in that continent is controlled by puppet master. That's why Africa can't move forward. And no one wants to deal with that fact. It's a fact. There is not one leader in Africa today that is leading the country progressively. They're leading it backwards because the foreigners are hoarding the resources. That's all it is. And Africans don't know who they are. This is the problem. Knowledge of self. You don't know what it means to be an African. So we're out here just winging it and just following every head that comes in, whether it's military rule, democracy. Africa has never dealt with, we have our own African system. Democracy or discracy or any other cracy, it's not African, it's foreign. We need an African cracy to put in there for us to even have a chance. what does it mean to be an African or an Igbo or Yoruba or an Hausa? Hausa people have their own tradition, but these days they're Muslims.
These days, Fulani.
Yeah, Fulani and African tradition, they're very close, you know. But that's Islam. That culture is very heavily embedded, and if you go into that culture, they have an ancient traditional system that was wiped out during the Islamic invasion. Do you understand? We don't know our history, and this is why no country in Africa will rise without the trace. You have to trace who you were if you want to go forward. Everything we're doing is lip service. Whether you put, even if a good leader comes in now today, let's unite the whole of Nigeria, it will not work because we don't understand what it is to be a Nigerian or an Hausa person or Yoruba person or an Igbo person. These three tribes used to have an ancient culture that was balanced to their mentality. There's imbalance, complete imbalance in the country, especially mentally. Mentally, how can you steal on Monday and go to church on Sunday? How does that work? Even if I'm Igbo, and I know my people are heavily corrupt. I know that, but they go to church on Sunday. Now, am I for the split of Nigeria? It would make sense on paper because I don't see how these two tribes can work. They're completely against each other. Foreigners are controlling the northerners. So on paper, yes, the split looks good. But if you split, what does it mean to be a Brafia person or an Igbo person? You don't know. I spent almost 10 years researching Igbo culture. I don't really share with nobody because now Igbos are Christianized. My parents are Christianized.
Can I make one correction there?
You understand?
Macmillan, the one correction I want to make is that Biafra would contain more than Igbo people. So it will be a new nation with pretty much a new agreement.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to tell you is it does not matter. It does not matter what it contains. Do you understand? It can contain the whole world, and the whole world doesn't have knowledge of self. That is a problem. The most ignorant, the most evil concept in the world is ignorance, because you can be taken advantage of, especially when you're ignorant. If you had knowledge of self, you might have a chance. No one knows what it means to be an African or a Nigerian or a Yoruba person or an Igbo person or an Hausa Fulani person. What does that mean? You think it's going to the mosque or church? That's nothing. You haven't even scratched the surface. Those religions were brought in by foreigners. That's one. You know that quote, they came with the religion and took the land and resources? Even today, with 2020, and you're still spending time on Sunday doing what?
I think the religion part and the ideologies that comes after the independence.
Negative.
I think it does. Yeah, it comes after the independence.
Yeah, well,
you can't just completely change how millions of people think in like a short span of time.
Yeah, you can't, but you have to teach them what it means to be an African. Remember these religions.
No. But the thing, African is also vague identity as well. So
okay. So if you narrow it down, what does it? I'm an Igbo person. When you ask me the question, what does it mean to be an Igbo person? From my research, I can give you some examples, and I'm still studying what it means to be an Igbo person.
What does it mean to be an Igbo person?
Igbos had a history, like I told you, we had a history, right, that is linked with Judaism. That is, you can also trace that to the eastern side of Africa. That's why sometimes they call us people from the east, because originally.
So wait, Igbos are Judaic?
Yes, they have a history
of being Jew. Hold on. So what? I just want to ask you a quick question. So what amongst the Jewish or Hebrew people do they have that represents Allah or Ani? depending on which part of Igbo land you're from. You know
Right.
Allah or Ani?
What
You know
does
Allah, right? You know
Hold on.
Ani?
Let me. You gotta ask me one question at a time. Not
Yeah. So that's
Allah.
my question. Is my question? Do you know Allah or Ani? You know that in Igbo land, right? What is
Yes.
that? That is the
Allah
what?
is one of the Olusi deities. You know how you have the Orishas in the Yoruba system?
No. What's the deity of what? When one man does he swear by Allah or Ani, what are they swearing by? What is that deity representing?
What are they swearing by? Swearing by?
When an Igbo man
swear
swears
by
by Allah or Ani, what is that deity? What is he representing?
that, brother. That's something
No,
that
I'm
they
just
just
saying.
do.
Okay,
It's
so no. So you need to go and do your research. Allah or Ani is the Igbo deity of the earth. So please show me amongst the Hebrew culture, or Jewish culture, where they have a deity, and you know, it's not
That's what I
Chukwu.
was trying. That's what I was
The
trying to tell you. If you
supreme
listen,
deity of the land is Allah or Ani, not Chukwu.
hold on. Let me
So go
answer
ahead.
your question. Let me answer your question. Like I mentioned before, if you trace the Igbo culture, there are two traditions. We have a traditional beliefs. That's true. But we also have a Jewish side of that culture. Most people don't know that. They will have two systems in Igbo land. That's just one. And the Jewish side of the Igbo people comes from ancient Kemet. Most Igbos do
See, the
not
thing
know
with
that.
this is that Jewish Africans will swear that they're Jewish. Christian Africans
No,
will
I'm
swear that they're
confused. Wait,
African.
hold on. Wait,
Muslim
time out.
Africans
Wait.
will swear that
let
they're
me finish. Let me
Africans.
Wait, Alex.
So, like,
Alex.
the whole
I want to just
Ibrahimic
contest.
thing is just
Alex,
overblown.
I don't even want to go down that road with him. He still hasn't even contended with the fact that in Igbo land, the supreme deity is not Chukwu or Chineke.
I'm not talking about what the supreme deity is.
So if the
What I'm
Igbos
trying
don't
to
have a
tell you,
supreme deity, how can they be Abrahamic or Hebrew or Jewish when the god of the land is a woman?
You're emotional. That's
You
why
know
you're
what I
yelling on
think
the
the
mic.
Jewish
You're
thing comes
emotional.
from with
What?
Igbo people in Biafra. It comes
Yeah.
from support from Israel. That the
Right.
support that
That's what I'm
Israel
trying to
gave
tell you.
them
There's a
during the
culture. There's a
Biafran War.
culture in Igbo. I'm not saying every Igbo. There is a culture. There is a lineage in Igbo that is Jewish.
I don't think Igbo people are Jewish. It's just the
But
support, the
you haven't
weapons
done
that
the research.
the weapons that
It's
Israel
not
gave
about what
them.
you think.
The
It's
weapons
what
that
you have to
Israel,
research.
but the
It's not
weapons
about
that
thinking.
the weapons and the support that Israel gave them during the Biafran War led to a lot of them being more susceptible to claiming Jewish or claiming Jew or
No, that's
supporting
not. No,
Israel.
that
The
it has nothing.
Israelis that helped them during the Biafra
No,
was
no.
the
See,
French.
you
Israel, they
guys,
had
you're not
Israel had
listening.
a
You're not
part
listening.
too.
It has
it
not.
was
That's
the
more
French.
than.
The French were the
Israelis
biggest
also played a
backers.
part.
No, hold on, listen, slow down, brother. Listen, the biggest backers of Biafra, there may have been some Israeli mercenaries, but the biggest backers of Biafra were the French. That's
We're
not. It
not
has nothing to
talking.
do
That
with
is
Israel. It was the French.
that is
But
modern.
but
That is in the modern era. I'm not talking about that. I know about that. I'm not talking about that.
yeah, but I'm
What
asking you.
I'm
Listen, brother,
saying is
you still haven't answered the question. How can these people who don't believe in a supreme deity, even the word Chinaeke, study your language? It doesn't mean supreme God. They never believed in one God. The idea of a universal supreme deity is foreign to most African people. They weren't monotheistic. So the God of the
you're not
land.
listening to what I'm telling you.
Okay, so explain to me.
Listen to what I'm saying. I said if you trace the lineage of the Igbo people, there are two cultures in there. Listen carefully. One of them is Jewish. One of them is traditional. Listen, you can trace the Jewish one to the eastern side of Nigeria. That's what I'm not saying that Igbo people, all of them are Jews. I'm not saying that. I said if you trace that, you can find that partly in some Igbo cultures, it is Jewish, and you can trace it to the eastern side of Nigeria. But
that's
now if you do the tracing carefully, you find that the first Igbo person, his name was Eri, right? But I don't want to go too deep into
But
that. I'm
how's
just
that
trying to
different
show you.
from?
I'm just trying to show you that if you want to talk about being a Nigerian or Igbo or Yoruba or an Hausa person, you must first know who you are. I'm not talking about who's the supreme deity or what. I'm saying that this new
So
religion.
listen, here's what. Listen, I don't mean to disrespect you, but look, if you want the information, I can send you the articles, brother. Gas them up
That
at
would be
gmail.com.
pointless, my brother. That would be
Okay, listen, look,
pointless.
wait. First off, there's no such thing as Igbo anything. There's no Igbo people. There's no Yoruba people. These are all modern day interpretations. Because first off, this is how you prove there's no such thing as Igbo people. Who is the king of the Igbos? The Igbos themselves will tell you they don't like kings. Who is the king of the Yoruba? If there's never been a Yoruba anything,
an Igbo person came to you and told you.
If there's listen, there's not about Igbo telling me anything. I know the research. First off, if there is such thing as an Igbo people, if there's such thing as an Igbo people, what about the Osu? Because why is it that an Osu, the Osu, the slaves, what you guys call slaves? Hold on, wait. Let me finish because this is what these Africans love to babble on this nonsense and they don't research. The Osu in Igbo land are the people of that land. So an Igbo man right now, if you are Osu, you cannot marry from another Igbo that does not that the lineage is not the same. They will not allow you to marry. That's a fact. That's happening.
Bro, you're talking about specifics. We're not talking about
hold on. Let's pass the mic. We're a little bit over, please, guys. Do me a favor. Hit the like button again. Please hit the like button. Who was next? Each one teach one. Go ahead.
I wanted to thank you very much for the opportunity, Dynast. I really appreciate what you're doing. I haven't had time. I've been caught up in a lot of stuff, but this topic here is quite interesting. So I wanted to come in to help guide, direct some of the thoughts that I see here. I've heard here. The Osu is not a part of Igbo culture. It was introduced when the British came. The British came, there was a war between the British and the indigenes. When they found out the power structure in Igbo land, they recognized that the Arochukwu is the powerful place and it stands strong in the Igbo belief, starting from the Nri kingdom. Nri was a kingdom that never had a standing order, but they kept an order in the land. They stretched across very big empire, but they were missionary kings and priests. So they have missionaries that go around telling people to keep the laws of the land, which is, you can say, is quite similar to Ecclesiastes, the Torah. You can say it's close to the Torah, right? Now, the principles that are in the Bible that we know from all the way from Exodus down to Deuteronomy was what they were preaching. You can Google that, okay? I'm not just trying to tell you stuff. Now, when the British fought with the Arochukwu kingdom, they won. In order to keep the secret in Igbo land, the British were able to foment the Osu system. What that means is all the priests and their children who refused to be a part of the Christianity or dominated people, right? They were either killed or the ones that ran away are kept there through the Osu system. And the knowledge was never shared because of the Osu system. They made sure the population don't marry these people because some of them ran into shrines. And when you run into a shrine, the assumption is that you're protected, right? And some of these people that are, working against the indigenes who held their traditions dearly, some of these people, they fomented a system that caused the other population who were not a part of the elites to become the rulers, the warrant chiefs.
So brother, why were the Arochukwu selling slaves?
One second, because they
no. We know these stories. Why were the Arochukwu selling each other slaves?
You don't know the story.
Go ahead.
You don't know the story because you were led to believe that Osu system was in our culture. Osu system was never in our culture. It was.
You people are still doing it to this day. You can't marry somebody that's an Osu. You know it. Don't lie.
But I'm trying to tell you the root cause of that.
So
where
go
it
back
came
to your
from.
villages and change it.
Hold on. So each one, So you're saying basically you're saying it's the white man's fault. It's the white man's fault.
Yes, it's the foreigners
Of course.
that started that system to hide the secret
Of course,
the
Dynasty.
people.
Osu's always been
Of
in Igbo
course.
culture.
So that they
The
wouldn't
Osus just
recognize
came when the British came.
it wasn't there before. You can check it. You can go
So,
check
so
it.
what about the Arochukwu? If the Osu, so wait, Dynasty, if the Osu weren't there, why were the Arochukwu selling other Igbos?
The
Let
me finish. The Arochukwu were warring kind, okay? The Arochukwu kingdom were warring kind. I have to admit that the Arochukwu were like some of the corrupt members of that kingdom were in cahoot with the foreigners, invaders that came in. And any system that's about to fail, or any system that will fail, usually starts from the inside. That's how that came about. Remember the Ekumeku War that was fought against invaders severally. It was to stop this idea from spreading, to stop the indigenous way of life, which recognizes many gods. There's no one supreme god in Igbo land or in Africa. It was European way of thinking that there's one supreme god, but the Africans don't buy that stuff. As Africans marry women, so are their gods. Okay? As African marry, like that's polygamy, so there is the same thing in what we believe as deities. And the way the nature works, there's always the yin and yang. So you have the Chineke. You can't have Chi without
Chineke is not an Igbo god. Stop lying, man. The Igbo god of supremacy is Allah or Ani. That is why Igbo men and Igbo women swear by the goddess of the land.
I never told you, 1 second. I never told you that Chineke is the supreme god of the Igbos. I just told you that
I don't have to listen because you're saying the wrong thing to people. The word is
Chi. We don't believe in a supreme being. We don't believe in a supreme being. When you say Chi and Eke, you are talking about two different things. One has to do with the mental, all right? The other has to do with the manifestation.
Everybody has the word Chi. Yoruba have Ori. Listen, Yoruba call it Ori. Urobo call it Bini call it Ehi. All throughout West Africa, we have the concept of that.
We Africans don't believe in that's a God, supreme God that's bigger than every other. No, that's a Western concept.
Hold on, let's pass it to Hans or Hans. Go ahead, Hans. Unmute yourself, Hans.
I feel like everyone is a little bit right in what they're saying. I do think that there is some Jewishness in Igbo culture. It's very, very complicated, but there is indeed some of it. But at the same time, it's not everyone. We don't even know how many percentage of the population actually have Jewish heritage. And anyways, I'm not even sure they are going to be able to find it, even if you go by your DNA, because it's too long, it's too complicated. You can only
no
see
such
through
thing as Jewish
anecdotes.
DNA.
I know. You're right. There is no such thing as Jewish DNA. You're right. But at the same time, you can also find through your phenotype if you are from, I would say, Semitic. Maybe that helps it, or maybe that narrows it.
There's no such thing as Semitic DNA. What is Semitic DNA?
Okay,
look,
man.
guys, look, guys, don't be deceived.
Let me just say what I know. Let me just say what I know. I don't want to argue.
The people you call Jews today are from Roman Empire. After the fall of Roman Empire, there are 500 years
I'm not
of
even
dark
talking
ages.
about.
These people went to the Khazars. These people went to the Khazars, and the way they operate can tell you who they are. Remember when the Nazis?
I'm not even talking about those.
But you guys are talking Jews. Who are the real Jews? That's the point.
I'm not even talking about Jews. I'm not even talking about Jews. I'm not even talking about Jews. I was watching this. I was listening to this rabbi, and he was talking about this same thing, and he was speaking about people that migrated pre-Second Temple. So after Second Temple is when you start seeing people identifying as Jews. Pre-Second Temples, you have a lot of Israelites that were worshiping different gods, not really Yahweh. Yahweh is one of. They were worshiping many different gods, and the Bible is actually testament to that. So when I say I don't want to argue, I don't want to go, I just saying what I know and what I've heard
The
and what I
Bible
can
is a book of
attest.
fiction.
And I agree with
But
you, my
here's the
brother.
thing, though.
I
Here's
agree
the
with
thing.
you. The
Here's
Bible
the
is a
thing.
book of fiction,
Here's
but
the
it's
thing,
fiction from
Hans, how is
yeah.
what you're saying different from the Africans who claim to be Muslim and swear that they're Arabs? How is that any
See,
different?
to me, because you can trace a little bit of your culture, you can see similarities with some different culture and make you, I don't know, draw kinship to that culture. Doesn't mean that you have to deny who you are or say you are not African. Like Igbo is really African. Like you can see from their art, you can see from their culture that they are African. To deny it is being stupid. And I don't think that they are actually denying it. Like we're just trying to paint it like they are denying it, but they're not really denying it.
But
They're
here's
just
the thing: you went you were talking about Africans who don't know
I'm
their
saying it because
identity
of
because
Mr.
of these.
Ish-Tish-One. I'm trying to say he might be right in some aspect, but it's not the real picture. I'm not really
Yeah,
saying it like, oh, okay,
and
I think all Igbo are
the
Jews.
thing
That's not what I was
is,
trying to get at.
if we have it more like a conversation and a discussion, given that the history goes so many years back, thousands of years, I think it will be helpful. But when we try to make it based on some research that we did and someone is really trying to push, some knowledge that they have, then we're not really going to learn anything, because nobody can say with absolute certainty that whatever we say in here is 100% accurate. But again, bits and pieces of whatever we're saying will be true. If somebody has a point to make, the person makes the point, and you think you have a different view, you say, I respect your view, but this is my perspective on this, and this is my research. That way, the person has an opportunity to go back and look into the research. But when someone is making a point, then someone begins to question and said, why did you say this? Why did you say that? And then you say blatantly that the person is not telling the truth. I don't think anybody came in here without good faith to do something that is to enhance, the knowledge that we know about our history.
Yeah, my brother, steel sharpens steel. We can't always be nice
I agree
flowers and
with you,
hugs.
Bolton.
Listen, swords have to sharpen swords. I'm tired of all these nice. That doesn't mean we have
And
to be
I agree with you,
disrespectful,
Gaston.
but
It's
we have to
weird, but
come
I
at
agree
each
with
other
you.
with strong information. And if the information isn't strong, it's okay. We go back to the library, go back to the drawing board. Let's stop with all this hugging and kissing. Steel sharpens steel.
We gotta go past the ego thing.
That's the mom. I
aspect
agree
of
with you.
you hugging
I agree with you when
doing
you were
that.
talking about Osu and it being part of Igbo culture. I do agree with you. I agree with you when you were speaking. In fact, the way you were analyzing it straight up. It's true. At the same time, two things can be right at the same time. I don't know if you understand what I mean. You can be right
Of course.
You can trace from the Igbo culture and find out that yes, they are African, and he can also be right that there are aspects of his culture that are so similar with Jewish culture that makes them draw kinship or affinity with them. That's just what I'm getting at. And everything that you're saying is facts. I can't say anything that you say is wrong. Like you're saying facts, but at the same time, I think each one, maybe he has something there.
Hans, let me ask you this: when it comes to Igbo religion, do you see similarities like in Hinduism and Buddhism? Like why won't you guys claim to be Asiatic black men? Like why is it got to be the Jews?
Yeah, you're right. Why does he have to be Jews? I think it's more like
I said why.
I don't really want to say why because I think I know why, but I don't really want to say it. It would sound disrespectful, and I would think that there is more. And I would think that there is more. It's not about the white man; it's just respect. I think I would think that there is more affinity with Igbo religion than there is actually with Judaism. But then you can see aspects of Judaism there too, which means that you can also see aspects of Judaism in every single religion on earth.
You know why they're doing the dynasty? You know why?
I never hear
because what they're doing is they're trying to say it's about money. They're trying to say it's about money. But the richest, but guess what, Dynasty? The richest Nigerians are not Igbos. The richest Nigerians are Yorubas and Hausas. So the
And I agree
stereotype
with
is
you,
so
my guy,
sad.
but it's not about money.
Everybody's
I really think
stereotyping
it's about.
Igbos,
And you know
and
what?
the people who really like money in
Let's say,
Nigeria
hold on,
are
Gascon, let's
Yorubas and
pass the mic.
Igbos.
Okay,
Let's
let me
pass the
say.
mic.
Okay,
You know what
yo,
the
let
other
me
thing
say why
is?
I think they have
You know what the
affinity
No.
with
other
We're
them.
gonna
thing
one
is?
mic.
I'm
We're
just
one
gonna be
mic. One
straight up.
mic.
This is why I think they have
We're gonna
affinity
pass
with.
the mic. We're gonna pass the mic. Leo, go ahead, Leo. You've been waiting. Go ahead, Leo. Unmute yourself, Leo.
Good evening, Mr. Dynast.
Yes,
This
sir.
will be
Go
my
ahead.
first time on your show, so I'm really glad that you gave me the chance to speak at least. I've been hearing different opinions basically. Like people have changed the topic to focus on the Igbos. And as an Igbo person, I will just try to chip in like a few things. Like when it comes to the issue of Igbos Jews or not, we need to understand that the area where Igbos reside basically consisted of several kingdoms, and those kingdoms they didn't necessarily practice the same thing. So the question of Igbos Jews, I will say yes, a significant number of us are indeed Jews, because it's not just by the way we live, like certain practices that I've seen growing up as a kid. I didn't really understand them, but when I grew older and I started reading the Bible, and I was like shocked when you read the Old Testament of the Bible and you see the things that I grew up seeing. I was like, it's almost identical. It's so similar. So, but let me change now to the main topic that I'm trying to speak on, which is the case of Nigeria, because
Thank
I
you.
think that that's the most important thing that we have to speak on now, because we can be arguing from now to tomorrow about who is Jewish and who is not. That's not the main thing. We have to be focused on the main point, which is Africa. So my focus now is what is happening in Nigeria now is just unfortunate, because the politicians know the problem. They know what is going on, but they don't want to solve it. The problem is Nigeria needs to be restructured. Like the difference between the South and the North is just too much in terms of religion, culture, educational level is just so much. So this the country needs to be restructured to back to the method of regional governance, basically. So if that is done, Nigeria will become a lot more stable, and you will see that the country will grow like so much. Then this thing about that I read this week about them trying to, it's like there is a sign that they might be a terrorist. I talked about it yesterday, and honestly, I don't think it's going to be a terrorist attack. I think it might be a military coup. That is what I think, but they don't want to tell people yet, because it's almost like they are not sure. But I think it's very likely what we might expect is a military coup, not a terrorist attack. And when it happens, it will, like, the whole country will be grounded, because soldiers will just take over the whole country from Lagos to Abuja to the southeast. Everybody will have to stay inside.
I don't see that happen. If there's a military coup, I think chaos is gonna worse than the Biafran War is gonna take place. That's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, but thanks for making me speak. Like, this will be my first time, so I'm glad to be able to share my view here.
All right, just me. Go ahead, just me. Just me. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Just me. Just me. Leave and come back in.
Let me say something. Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
So, Hans, when he initially came in, he was kind of uncertain about whether or not there's going to be like a war in Nigeria in the next 2 years. But when the thing in Ethiopia first happened, like I was like surprised. Like I, as a person, did not even like imagine that Ethiopia was anywhere near a civil war. Because I wasn't paying attention to the stuff that was happening in Ethiopia, and you kind of have to like dig deeper. And the thing is, like, the people who are personally affected by these things that happen on the ground, they tend to, like, sense it first, or see it coming first. Like me, I didn't see Ethiopia going into a civil war, but somebody that was in from Tigray probably saw it before I did. The only reason I'm saying I'm almost confident Nigeria is going to be in the war in the next 2 years is because I'm personally affected by it with the alliance that the evil people or the Biafrans made with the Ambazonians in the border, and this is a real alliance that that's gonna come to fruition. Like they're not joking at all. Like there's people in the diaspora that are like seriously funding these ideas and these militias. So it's something to be taken seriously.
Hey, go ahead, gas him up.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, listen. Well, I'm driving, so if my service goes in and out, just I'll click back in. But look, I just wanted to say these 2 quick points about Nigeria, Dynast. You need to check out well, you don't need to, but check out this guy Al Mustafa. He was Abacha's former chief security officer. He's running. If I did vote, which I don't believe in voting because I don't care about the nation state, but if I did vote, I would vote for Al Mustafa. He's the only one that exposed that all of that stuff that's happening in the north with Boko Haram and the herdsmen is all about minerals. Principally lithium and gold that was just discovered in Zamfara state. And so these people are trying to destabilize the Nigerian state. Now, of course, I would love to see an Igbo man be president of Nigeria, but Peter Obi seems too buried in the interest of the old guard. So I think Al Mustafa will probably be the best person to take Nigeria forward, in my opinion. And the last I'll say about restructuring Nigeria, everybody, doesn't do their research, but the one person who actually tried to do that was Abacha. People need to research on Abacha's regime. He actually separated the country into the 6 geopolitical zones so that we could have presidential zoning. And each key specific office would be held by people from each zone. If you guys go and research the 1994-1995 referendum, I believe that Abacha held that was supposed to be put in the new constitution, had that been implemented after he died, but Abdul Salam, or whatever his name is, they threw it in the garbage can. Had they done that, Nigeria would have been on the right track because every region would be able to access power. So that's what I wanted to say quickly. I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
What is the name?
I want
What
to
is his
add to
first
that.
name? You said Al Mustafa. How do you spell that? A-L?
Yeah, Al Mustafa.
Okay.
Well, the brother said a lot of good stuff here. The brother that talked before you had it.
Hey, each one, teach one. It's hard to hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, okay. What I wanted to say is the prediction is accurate. There's a problem. There's going to be a problem in Nigeria, as we've seen so far. And prior to this period, with reference to Peter Obi, I don't know what exactly you guys think about him, but I think he is out to do the right thing. But I don't think he's gonna rule Nigeria because Nigeria is under too many forces. If you guys are awake in the sense of geopolitical, in the sense of geopolitics of the region.
Hello?
He's frozen.
Hello? Oh.
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Yeah, he's driving, so probably he's going to an area where he doesn't have reception.
Me personally, I don't think Nigeria is going to end up in a war. I think Nigerians have always flirted with the idea of war, but we really never. I don't think we really want to fight war. I don't think we really want to fight each other.
If you think about it, Nigeria.
Hey, go ahead, Alex.
If you think about it, Nigeria has already been in the war for the past how many years now? They've been fighting vigorously with Boko Haram. Everything that's gonna happen after this is just It's just like a downward slope of things that have been building up.
Yeah, I think what the other guy was saying, is it gas them up? What he was saying about the structure that Abacha wanted to put in place, if you can really kind of, break down the power bubble to the different regions and allow people to be able to govern themselves, it might help. If you look at the case of Switzerland, they really don't have a head of state. They have like a governing council, which about 7 members, and each of those members have equal powers. They can represent the country. For example, if a head of state is visiting, it could be presided by one of them. Then one of them can go to the United Nations. So when you have that, the people begin to see the representation in that. Even if you look at the case of Cameroon with the Ambazonia crisis, Southern Cameroons, before Cameroon got to the situation it is today, there were two countries merged into one, West Cameroon, East Cameroon, and they were being governed by a federation. But when they came together, then you began to have this kind of concentration of power in the capital city, Yaoundé. And then the Anglophones, being in the minority, started feeling a certain way. But why didn't it happen the years prior to when the president came in, since I think 1960-61, when Cameroon had independence? West Cameroon was actually being governed by their own people. They had their elections, so was East Cameroon. But East Cameroon even had more disruption because of the Francophone system of governance. So, but when you splinter power, people begin to see the representation. You could have some kind of rotation at the divisional or, regional level. And that way people begin to see that maybe their own people are actually the bad managers in their region. They have the possibility of changing them. But when you have that concentration of power, one person appoints even down to a local principal or president of a high school, university, and all of that, then there is bound to be this kind of cronyism that you see in many African governments. And then there's a lot of theft that happens at the central government, and the people begin to suffer. When they suffer, they're bound to pick up arms. And what happens is Western countries are very ready. All the companies that sell ammunition, they need to sell these arms. So when Africa has conflicts, these companies have to make business. It's unfortunate, but that's just how it's going to happen. Then the other part of the African society is a mixture of culture and religion. Somehow in northern Nigeria, the religion has been mixed with the culture, and then people begin to feel disaffected, Muslims and Christians. Then down even to the south, where you have the Christian concentration, you have a very radical form of Christianity in the so-called evangelical Pentecostal Christianity that has really, really grounded the people into some kind of delusion that they can't even get out of. From the big temples like Suleiman, whether it's Christ Embassy and all of these places. I mean, it is terrible how a country like Nigeria, with so many people very capable, but they're so much grounded in religion. Look at Chevy Volt. What that car was designed by a Nigerian um, engineer in America. He studied at, I think, Suka. Then he went to Nigeria. He was able to design that car. But why is Nigeria not able to make a car? Nigeria is a country that's 5 times the population of South Korea, you know, but not really doing up to what South Korea can do. They make Samsung phones, they make Genesis, they make Hyundai, but the conflicts in Nigeria just causes people to be so confused. And the religion, the idea of we can do it, so we have to call on the anointing. Go back to the 1900s. 86% of Christians were in Europe. The remaining about 8% were in North America. That brings it up to about 98%. Less than 1% of Christians in the world were Africans. Now, Africa and South America are having more than 60% of Christianity, and 1 out of 3 evangelical ministries in the world is in Nigeria. But what is consistent between the growth of religion and poverty? Look at South America, look at Africa. It tells you something, that the more religious you become, the more your people are deluded into some kind of self-inflicted poverty. Look at the system of mathematics. I mean, not system, but the mathematics we have today. It started in Iraq. The Iraqis were dominant in the Middle East, but when they adopted a violent, aggressive form of Islam, it actually told them that science was against religion. What happened? The Jews, who became even more progressive in terms of religion and science, moved forward and more or less have a bigger voice in the Middle East than themselves. Now you look at who've been winning the Nobel Awards. It's been the Jews, not the Iraqis. Sad enough. So you have to go back and look at how some of
How
these
much
people.
of that is because of politics,
Volta,
sir?
Well,
Come
it
on,
could
sir.
be.
How much of that
I'm
is
just giving.
politics?
I'm not.
That's a very wishy-washy way of history. Come on. Let's not act
yeah,
like America doesn't finance them. Come on.
No, you were not here before gas them up. I made the point of colonial rule, colonialism. I'm just taking a different route. I'm
I
just
think it's
examining
poverty that
as I
comes
move
first.
forward. What's that?
I think poverty comes first and then religion second. Because
Well,
you're in your narration, you try to make it feel like religion comes first and poverty second. I think it's the other way around. Like the poorer you
there's
are, the more
correlation between
religious.
the two.
Yes, there
Because
is a high relation between the two.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
correlation because when you're poor, you're more likely to be deluded by a so-called man of God who is telling you about promises. I have been in many countries in Africa where I see people wake up 4 a.m. to go get a seat in a worship temple. Then I ask these individuals, specifically Ghana, when I visited Ghana, you've been awake since 4 a.m. and you're leaving at 6 p.m. What if you were in some place planting cassava, planting plantains? How much would you have made? But you've been to a worship
Learning about
temple,
mathematics, physics, chemistry.
right?
But
People,
do you even blame them? The successful ones attribute everything to God. The ones that are successful say, "Oh, God made me get this." They never attribute it to their hard work. They never said, "Oh, do you know that?" And in Nigeria, there's some women that open their shop 7 days a week, and then there's some women that goes open the shop only 6 days. The
right?
ones that open the shop 6 days are always complaining that the ones that open their shop 7 days are either ungodly, and that's why they make their money, or they're involved in some rituals. Even the ones that open the shop 7 days, we still turn around to the one that opened the shop 6 days to say, God is the one that gave me this. They never attribute their success to maybe their hard work. So you don't blame the poor guy for turning around thinking God is the one that actually give you riches. So maybe you spend 3 hours in a day praying in the church first before he opens his shop. It's I get what you say. It's a delusion. It's
And
it's
the
not even just
difference,
poverty.
right?
It's lack of education. It's multiple factors that
It
uh,
is. For real, the difference is that
it's a mess.
the schooled people that you talking about, it mimics the idea of being schooled is synonymous to being educated, which is not really true. There's an overlap between that. So when you have some of these people in suits who've been university graduates, perpetuating this same idea of being a deacon in a church and attributing every form of success to, some divine power, then the common man who knows not much is bound to believe that
Exactly.
that is the situation.
Exactly. And that's what we have in Nigeria, in Ghana, in basically all of West Africa, not just West Africa, all of Sub-Saharan Africa, because it's still there in Islam. Everything is attributed to God. And because of that, people think God is like, you can never imagine a Nigerian tell you he achieved something and it wasn't because of God. It's never going to happen.
Well,
Maybe Dangote,
it is a
because
way people have
Dangote
been
doesn't say it.
conditioned, because I was looking at even during the coronavirus outbreak, one of the pastors, he has a very big ministry in different parts of the world. When he made the claim that the coronavirus is just an aspect of 5G and that the illness
So yeah, kilo
um,
net.
it is because when you have that vaccine, it is the crossroad, the merger between man and machine. And then he went further. He said, when you have this vaccine, you go to a bank, you go to an ATM. The ATM is definitely going to be able to read your mind and know that you want to pull out £100, $100, $500, and without you even making an utterance, is going to disburse that amount. But you have engineers in there, you have IT specialists in there. They allow this person to say something that's so spurious and they won't even challenge it. That is the thing. When Suleiman came out and he said, money alert, he can only do that in a country like Nigeria or any other African country. If he did that in America, even China, they would have investigated him, get those men sitting behind the scenes and prosecute them for posting this money to people's account. And people were running out and saying that, well, it's an alert from heaven. I mean, come on, man. When we start believing this, why do you think we do not lay bare the possibility that we can be re-enslaved?
Voltan, you know what's worse? That was organized crime. That was money laundering action.
Of course.
Because he was just attacked recently. And I definitely know that his hands are not clean. Like, how anyone that worked for their money would never give it away for free. Like, if not, Bill Gates would be handing out money on the street. Like, anyone that worked for their money never give it away for free. And I really think that our entire economy that is crashing is all due to politicians' dirty hands, religious leaders' dirty hands, even the oil workers' dirty hands. Like I was telling my dad this morning, everybody in Nigeria is corrupt. It's not just the politicians, it's not your pastors, even the ordinary man on the street is corrupt.
I believe that one of the biggest threats to African development is religious extortionism and expansionism on the continent, because it has kind of beguiled people into a terrible deception that they can just pray their way out into success. I was talking to a couple of people in Sierra Leone. I said, why do you pray for personal wealth? I said, why don't you just pray for the road connecting Freetown to Kenema to be tarred overnight? That would be good for all of us.
Yeah.
Why do you want your bank account to be rich? I said, why don't you pray for a big hospital to be delivered by Angel Gabriel? If you can pray for yourself and think that your bank account can be enriched.
What's crazy? I had thought about you earlier. I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get some smoke. Yeah. And then I saw you. I was coming from Bonchon. It's like 3. You had just passed me. Like
Alex, can you mute your?
If you
mute yourself, we can hear your conversation.
So if you at this light, go bust the left going towards the school. Go what's the?
All right. Hey, let's see, guys. Thank you. Hit the like button, guys. Again, please hit the like button. I'll put the link in the chat room. We'll take a couple more callers. Then we will close out. All right, link is in the chat room. If you want to call in. Volta, how do you feel about the Twitter situation?
What is that?
How do you feel about Elon Musk buying Twitter?
Well, I think it's good if he does some kind of, to kind of restructure Twitter. And, people should be able to express themselves pretty much freely. There's definitely going to be some level of censorship, definitely. But I think it's a good thing. Twitter has not really been making a lot of money. I doubt if it's been even profitable. But again, we'll see what direction he takes Twitter to. I don't think he's actually a friend of President Trump. I don't think he's really very conservative, but I think he just stands somewhere in the middle. So, we'll see the direction that he takes the company to. But he has a lot of money, so who knows? Twitter might really have some other kind of structure, just like Facebook. Maybe we'll have more video chatting on Twitter and stuff like that.
Hey, each one to each one. You got a lot of background noise. I don't know if you could call back or, it's a lot of background noise. We could barely hear you. Yeah, so let's bring Caesar on. All right, go ahead, Caesar. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to, push back on this idea that I don't think religion in itself, there's no issue with being religious or, attributing your success to, I don't think that is the major issue or I don't think that's a major. I think a much bigger issue is, what you have, it's poverty. because all those young people, up north, I'll turn on my compassion hat, right? They have all these kids. They might have 15 kids, a typical family up north. They might have 15 kids or 9 kids, and they can't take care of their kids, and they just let them roam the streets. They're called amajiri. I think that's what they're called. And a lot of those kids end up being recruited by all these terrorism organizations. And that's how they get mentorship. And that's why they end up doing all this crime. Or even when you have youth down south, they may not join Boko Haram, but they might start scamming or doing other things, hopelessness. And they turn to things that aren't productive. So I think that is the biggest issue, youth unemployment. When you solve that, you'll solve a lot of the problems. I don't think it's because, people are religious and instead of working, they go to church. I mean, that's not, there are a lot of super religious people that become wealthy. The issue is lack of opportunity and all this religious extremism. Just my perspective.
Yeah, I think the semantics was religious extortionism and radical evangelical Christianity. That is the point. There are many people who are devout who do it the traditional way. You can take your Bible to the farm if you're a farmer with your friends or your co-workers. If you're operating a very big farm, you can pray for 15 minutes, 7 a.m. in the morning before the sun rises. You get to work. When you take your break, you're eating. I've all seen people farm in Africa. You can open up your Bible and you can read. Where was the storehouse? Where did they pay tithes? It said, take it to the storehouse. It was right there in the farm. So the thing is, for someone to say you have to belong to a temple or a worship, a business empire, it's not the way to go, because you're keeping people that the main reason, not definitely the only reason, is to get a lot of people to kind of come into these big buildings, and then one person begins to direct the sermon. It wasn't always like that. The thing is, why is it that we, in just about 100 years of the introduction of Christianity to Africa, we have taken it more than the Europeans, more than America, and they keep building, developing in science. They're building weapons to defend themselves, building new technology to improve upon farming, electricity, solar panels, but we're not doing anything. So you have to look at what kind of belief system you have. It goes back to your culture. It goes to the religion. Religion has not been embedded with the culture. So if we do not address it, because if you look at what is happening in Africa, just in terms of religion alone, keep the culture, apart for a moment, you begin to see the damage that is doing to so many people who take the words of these people as gospel and as proof, for survival. And we know, of course, it is not. These people drive private jets made by the Chinese. 99% of Chinese population are not Christians. Even the Catholic Church in China is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. It doesn't belong to Rome. You look at Korea, they are not Christians. The Christians in Korea,
The Chinese know what they're doing.
What's that?
I said the Chinese know what they're doing by owning the Catholic Church.
Of course, they know the Catholic Church is a colonial empire. So
exactly,
there is no way for them to have that
Africa,
intrusion to come in.
Africa,
Japanese are Buddhist. Why are we driving Toyotas? You hear the men of God say, don't associate with people who are not believers. You shouldn't even fly a Chinese plane. You shouldn't buy Toyotas. You shouldn't buy Honda. You shouldn't use Samsung phone. During the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic, you had these people blaming Bill Gates. People sending me messages, oh, Bill Gates wants to kill 3 billion Africans. I said, we're not even 1.4 billion yet. So who does he want to kill? I said, but do you use lights in your church? Do you use a laptop? So you using Windows. Why are you on his platform? He's evil, right? Why are you on his platform? Mark Zuckerberg is a known atheist. He's not even denying it. Why is your church on Facebook? Bill Gates owns 5% of Facebook. It is disingenuous for you to be complaining about Bill Gates, but your livelihood is entirely dependent on Bill Gates. I say it's a shame beyond measure.
Yeah, guys, we'll go ahead and close out. Listen, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, Search for Uhuru. Make sure you buy the documentary In Search of Uhuru. Make sure you go. In fact, let's let's end that. Let's end this.
Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So I reached out to another friend of mine. I said, look, you know, I need to go on vacation somewhere. Where should I go? He said, go to Africa. And not only am I going to go, I'm going to explore a new country. So I went to Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Mali, Senegal, Morocco, Liberia, Namibia, Kenya, the Voodoo Festival in Ouida, Gambia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire. Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. It's been a beautiful experience, just learning more about our culture, our indigenous culture. So Uhuru means freedom in Swahili. I'm in search of my roots. In finding that, I would experience my Uhuru, which is freedom.
Till next time, Dynast Amir, I'm out.
Muted. Guys, make sure you go buy the documentary. Until next time, family, Dynast Amir, Search for Uhuru. Peace.